So Season 13 released recently and is already the subject of massive debate in the community. While I share almost none of these opinions, it would be great to have a discussion about this, partially because some people don't understand the vision for the world event, but also because it could actually use some minor tweaks. Let's get into each point. So the Burning Blade is a menace, at least when it's captured by a crew, because its stats get juiced, and you now have 1 to 4 sentient people who are controlling a ship with monstrous resistance and a skeleton crew to boot. There are several reasons why the Burning Blade is strong, but I don't think it's too strong. The first thing that separates it from other world events is that you now have intelligent, well, in some cases intelligent people controlling the ship. The AI in Sea of Thieves is quite simple and easy to deal with, even in the other 4 to 5 world events. PvP has always been the main challenge in the game and is your main threat, not the skeletons or the Kraken, so people will find this ship really difficult in comparison. People have different strategies to AI, they can adapt to yours, and they're often more accurate than the AI. The people I play with are a decent group of players, by no means the best of the best, but each time we've captured the blade, even against players with hourglass cosmetics and old Reaper sails, we've still battered them with barely a scratch. This has all been caused by people underestimating the ship, taking broadsides when they shouldn't, not boarding and forgetting about the Ashen Roar. Rev also made the skeletons actually useful. They repair, allegedly bail water, shoot cannons, and will be very aggressive against boarders, but they're not invincible. They also are immune to fire along with the ship, meaning the best way to deal with them at range has been eliminated. But what's important is that they're the backbone of the ship. Skeletons and boarding are the #1 priority when fighting another crew, since you can board infinitely, but the skeleton respawns are finite. We've successfully taken down 2 brig crews on the blade from boarding, with 1 even done after running out of cannonballs. People are fighting the ship one-on-one like they would the old way, and that's just not the right approach. Keep your distance and don't be overly aggressive with your ship. The ship is meant to be a beast, so play to your strengths. Take out the skeleton crew and take advantage of the 4 ladders to board. Don't go toe to toe with it since you're at a huge disadvantage. Something I do agree with is the anchor. Well, sort of. The anchor is comparable to a sloop speed when raising it and only has 2 pegs. While I reckon Rare could balance it with crew size, this is also balanced around having a large number of boarders. I think it would be cool to balance this around crew size. A galleon crew doesn't need a sloop anchor, but a solo and duo do, even maybe a brig. Let me know what you think about this one. To summarise, the ship, masts, AI and skeletons are generally fine, the anchor could use rebalancing and solo should have a larger pool of skeleton respawns. Otherwise, I think the ship's appropriately powered. And since I've been no-lifing Sea of Thieves and getting all my commendations done, Manscaped has kindly sponsored this video to help with the, drawbacks of spending all weekend playing. Manscaped is trusted by more than 10 million men worldwide for trimmers, liquid formulations and premium boxers. Manscaped has sent me over the handyman so I can keep on top of my massive neck beard. In all seriousness, if you're like me and can't grow a nice looking beard, you want to keep yours in shape as much as possible. The handyman has been a godsend and allows me to knock down 3 days of growth and tidy up my stubble, making sure I'm presentable when I have to return to the real world. It's waterproof too, so you can easily combine your weekly shower with your weekly shave, and it has a battery life of up to 60 minutes, so you can use up the whole battery before finding an hourglass match. It's still going. And here's the best bit. As a special treat for all you lovely viewers, I've partnered with Manscaped to offer you guys an exclusive discount. Visit manscaped.com and use the code AShinyRay at checkout and get 20% off your purchase of the handyman. Don't miss out on this stellar opportunity. Back to the video. People don't understand the resistances. I think this stuff is partially on Rare's part and also content creators. I left out loads of specifics in my last video about the Burning Blade's weakness and immunities. The mask will take 2 chain shots to take down. I think this is also fine even with a full crew. It's tough when fighting it and all your masks go down in one, but this is balanced behind multiple ships taking on the Burning Blade at once. Still, many people don't know that and assume 1 chain shot is enough to immobilize it. It's also worth noting, the Burning Blade is so tanky it can just act like a turret. Its length means it's got a wider angle of coverage compared to the Galleon. The Burning Blade is actually immune to bone crawlers, regardless if they're thrown or shot out of a cannon. They won't pop on the Burning Blade. This also means they cannot be used by the defending crew unless they are used on enemy vessels. The fire resistance is still not understood, the ship will take no fire damage or the skeletons, only players will receive this damage. A big disadvantage of the Galleon was how powerful fire is, and now it's moot. The amount of times people have thrown firebombs at us is ridiculous. So let's talk about alliances. The main discussion over the Burning Blade being too hard comes from the lack of understanding where it was designed to fight and win against multiple ships. It is a world event. However, many crews are extremely reluctant to team up with other ships to take it down. Part of this is alliances being mostly pointless, and most players just don't engage with them. The allure of having all the rewards instead of half is just too high. Rare missed the trick here and should have had commendations for alliances fighting the Burning Blade. Maybe Rare should pop in a few in the next update, such as forming an alliance while fighting the Burning Blade, sinking it 5 times in an alliance, or sinking it 5 times while in an alliance as an Athena Emissary. The Obsidian Bonecrusher set is already fantastic for opposing Flameheart in this update. However, Rare could use this opportunity to release more Athena items linked to these commendations, such as the Pirate Lord's belt, Athena's fortune tattoos, or another piece of the Magpie's fortune cosmetics. In general, it would be nice to see more incentives for alliances, since the game is massively skewed towards not accepting them due to the risk of betrayal being so high. Athena Emissary is a small annoyance in this one. Sinking a crude Burning Blade should give grade 5. I believe it was planned before launch, but this feature didn't come to fruition. You're doing possibly the most righteous of acts for the Pirate Lord by sinking this beast. It needs to be a grade 5 Emissary instantly. Enough said. Moving on to Reaper Runners. This is my biggest gripe and possibly the biggest gripe in the community at the moment. The Burning Blade, with all its advantages and being the most powerful warship on the seas, can run with impunity. Oh, and you can turn in the Burning Blade with ease. Nearby ships do not prevent you from turning in and gaining all your reputation. Now you can do this with loot, but no piece of loot sells for 10 levels of Reaper Rare or hundreds of thousands of gold. Imagine if the Chest of Fortune could only be sold if you sank the crew that has it. It just makes no sense. It doesn't fit the spirit of the event, it allows ship players to get easy rewards with no risk, and yes, it's stupidly easy to run with how the masts work and how the anchor works. While it can be annoying to have repeat ships coming back, the blade makes it piss easy to sink others, so there's no excuse. They need to whack a 1 square radius on the Reaper's hideout to stop the Burning Blade being turned in when a ship's nearby. Flameheart would disapprove. Now that the exploits have been fixed, this should be the next priority for the development team in terms of tweaks. I also want to circle back to no world events. The Burning Blade occupies a world event slot, so it will stop other world events spawning on the map. This is done to force players to engage with the Burning Blade. However, as the Burning Blade is a world event that is definitely the toughest to take down, we've seen instances of servers being cleared out by it. I mentioned this in the initial review of the season, but as time goes on, this will need to be the case, otherwise the Burning Blade will end up the same way as most other world events, untouched and replaced by future content. A massive sandbox tool like this should be integrated into the wider game. It will allow players to use more tools, more strategies, and use PvE elements to their advantage when taking on the Burning Blade. It also opens up more opportunities for the Blade crew, as the loot pool will look very small once the Chest of Fortune is removed. If that boss ship is allowed to gather loot, it creates even more loot pinatas. I'd even further argue this by saying an efficient crew will be grabbing rituals when moving from world event to world event, meaning they will increase their tribute and the loot on board. Even more so when the Chest of Fortune is moved. If the crew on the Blade does the Season 14 Fortune World event, they will very likely have the loot from that too. The only concern with this is that getting the Blade will be the new meta. Although this is already the case as the Season 13 content is fresh, it might be a pain in the ass to have to obtain the ship to feel viable. What do you guys think about this point? Some players also feel the Burning Blade should be in safer seas. To that I say, Flameheart is sad with your suggestion. Overall, the Burning Blade is in an amazing spot, and I can't really see any of the changes needed outside of the turn-in changes and probably the Athena Emissary buff. I think this content will be hot for many more months to come, even in Season 14 with all the brand new toys.